Okay folks, so today I'm going to hit a basic maintenance task of swapping out and changing the alternator drive or the alternator belt. The reason for this is earlier in the week I came out to do a quarterly maintenance check, and I found that the alternator belt that I had was starting to get dry rotted. It was actually missing teeth in the belt itself. So I took that off. I threw on a generic belt just to be able to move the car around safely. However, it must be noted that this is not a proper fit. This is not a proper belt for this car. And you can tell the fact that the belt is sticking this far out of the pulley itself. And you can see that here along the belt as well at the drive pulley. It's still standing out at least a good 1/8, if not 3/8 of an inch right here. That's not good for a number of reasons, primarily because once you get this up to highway speeds, there's a strong likelihood that this belt will jump the pulleys, and then you've got another issue, and you're already in the middle of a highway, you're in the middle of a drive somewhere. You don't need that to happen. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the correct belt on there today. Now, when I first did the engine swap, I had to utilize these adjustable brackets. The brackets that came off of the 307 did not mate up to the 350. So I had to adapt and utilize some adjustable brackets, and that's what these are. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this out, move the alternator towards the motor to loosen up the belt, and then remove the belt. I'm also going to have to do that for the power steering pump. I'm going to have to loosen this belt, remove it in order to remove the alternator belt. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop all my shit. Okay, starting over. So the first thing I need to do is to loosen this power steering pump to remove this belt. And that means I have to loosen this bolt here. Now that I have the power steering pump loosened, I just have to push it in towards the motor, loosen the belt, and slip that off the pulleys there, and then do the same up here. So first things first, I've got to loosen up the lock nuts, which are at each end of the adjustable bracket. And then turn this to bring the alternator into the motor. Once it's loose enough, then the belt should pop off. These are reverse threaded from each end so that as you tighten it or loosen it, it works on both ends, and then you just have to twist this and move it closer. There we go. Slip it around the fan. And slide it out from the shroud. Okay, so the temporary belt is off. Now I'm going to put in the correct width. Now for this vehicle's application, for the pulleys that I have on this vehicle, it's a 350. I required a 3/8 inch width on my belt. Some people will call it thickness, some people call it width, but it's the distance across, and that's what I needed. I needed a 3/8 inch belt to fit snug down inside of the pulleys. Bring it in a little more close. One more time. Double check, make sure it's snug on the pulleys where it needs to be. And then slide it onto there. Now I just have to turn my bracket in the opposite direction, move it out, make it snug. Now, as you're tightening your belts, you don't want it you don't need it tight wire tight. You know, you don't need it as tight as a solid steel rod. If you do, you're actually going to wind up putting undue wear and tear on the bearings inside of your alternator as well as your pump. So you don't want that. You want a little bit of flexibility. I think some people say ½ inch, other people say 1 inch. Okay. Now I'm going to put the power steering pump belt back on. And move the power steering pump back to again make this a little tighter. And then tighten the adjusting nut. For some of these tighter spaces, you might need a shorter crescent wrench. Over here, you can see that it's right down inside of the pulley. No problems. It's flush on the original pulleys. This one, yeah, it's still a little high, but not like before. And again, this little layer, this little white marker layer is down below the edge of the pulley, and that's what I've been going by. There you go, folks. I hope that was helpful for you. It's basic maintenance to be able to change out your belts, whether it's a power steering belt, an alternator belt, an AC belt, what have you. The procedures are basically the same. You loosen up the mounting stud, you move it in so that you can loosen up the belt just enough to get it off. You may have to remove more than one belt in order to get to the one that you need to replace. But once you do that, you get it all back on, you tighten everything up. So once again, thanks for tuning in. If this video has been helpful for you, please hit like or subscribe. And please feel free to throw comments in there to help make these videos and the channel better if you feel so inclined. I've also got another project that I started just about a week and a half ago. I have 74 Datsun 260Z. They were only available in the US for 1 year. It was in between the 240Zs and the 280Zs. My 260 is going to be a project and a half, and please check out those videos when you get a chance. So thanks again for tuning in and joining me on this journey.